Hi, okay, my name is Mira Spitzer. I have posted on this group a couple of times now. Welcome to the Vacation Bible School Flower Expo, apparently. So, gonna go over a couple things. This video is going to be how I made those stems, what we're using for bases, and just kind of giving an overview of what has been made. If you have questions, I might have answers for you. I just kind of winged a lot of this. I'm a former florist, so I kind of had a guess of how to make stuff. Where I'm going to begin is the tools you're going to want to complete these. So my in-laws, my mother-in-law is the children's ministry director for our church, so she's kind of heading all of this off, and I promised her the flowers. What they purchased, so these were from Five Below. They're just a metal stool, and they were, I want to say $5, sounds right. I promised 12 bunches of all these flowers, so we're using these because our PVC is 1/2 inch, and this is I'll link it, I'll put a photo of what we purchased, and it fits perfectly inside. So I sprayed these. They picked me up some spray paint from Menards. Home Depot would have the same stuff, but I'll show you what we used. It is Rust-Oleum's Painter's Touch Ultra Cover Paint and Primer. It's a satin and moss green. Screenshot that if you need it. So I wasn't very arduous about the process. I just kind of gave it a good spray, because we also have been adding kind of just chopped up paper, and they also have some foam grass that kind of, we call it Minecraft grass, that kind of just goes together like that and sits in the little square there. So it makes it look really super nice, makes it look clean, that you can't see where, you know, I was a little lazy. Anyway, so without further ado, I'm going to put my base down so you can kind of see how this process goes. So we have, this is 1/2 inch water line. It is a 1/2 inch PVC. You want to make sure that you're spending a little bit extra money in getting the straight pieces of pipe. Sorry, you're going to hear my kids in this video. You want the straight pieces of pipe because we made the mistake of getting a roll. It does not stay straight. It does not hold weight. It'll soon start sliding over. So you really do not want to get the roll. You want to get the straight pieces of pipe. Okay, next thing you are absolutely going to splurge on. It will save all of your sanity. I am speaking from experience. You want a pair of pipe cutters. They're about $14. I'll also put a photo of what these ones are. Well, at least whatever close to these ones are. I've had them for ages. It makes life so much easier than having to saw them apart, because you can just kind of use them like scissors and pop them apart. So anyway, we're going for about 5 foot, oh, I have 8 foot ceilings. We're going for about 5 foot flowers. I'm almost 6 feet tall, so those flowers in the before photo were really tall. I mostly just eyeball it because I'm kind of having them all different levels. You know, no flower grows the same length as the other, so I just kind of eyeball what I think would be about good. I kind of have one really tall flower, one short bud, and then 2 open blooms. So I want one a little bit taller than the other. This will be my line flower. I'll show you how to make those in the next video. So I think you can see me. I am just kind of sizing things up. You can also use little dead short pieces of this pipe in the bottom of the stool base to kind of rise it up if you're, you know, when you're setting up, you're going, that's not tall enough to my liking, or that looks kind of weird. So you can always add a couple of dead pieces of PVC in there. So this one's probably going to be our normal flower height. So I'm going to make one real short one for the bud and one real, oh, that's too much, real long one for the line flower. Okay, so here is our really tall line flower, or really tall open bloom, whichever. And then I always save one shorter piece. It's probably 4 foot tall for our buds that we made. So, wow, I'm going to do this right in a second. a nonverbal daughter, so you probably hear her yelling in the background. Okay, so what we've already made, I am never going to be able to turn this around. I guess I'm showing you this way. Okay, so what I've already made is I have made, so 2 blooms that match, so, and they're big. Obviously, I'm tall, I have larger hands. So 2 blooms that match, still my daughter, a bud, and then also a line flower. I'm making these kind of look like lavenders. You could absolutely do 3 big blooms. I just, for the area, I kind of wanted a flat back so everything else could project forward. We have a lot of area we're filling in. And then the dandelions, I know a lot of people had questions. I wasn't sure if you were asking about the ones with shish kebab skewers or if you're asking about the bloomed ones, which I can probably show both of them eventually. But here is the stems. So it is our PVC. Let me show you how we got there. Okay, so how we got the beautiful green color on those stems. They kind of have like a liney look to them because what I've been wrapping them with is floral wrap, floral tape, Flora-Tape, I think is what it's officially called. I always just call it floral tape. It is a waxed green paper tape that when you stretch and pull it against, it's kind of friction based. If you pull it against itself, it will stick and adhere to itself. So what we've been doing is just wrapping all of our stems in that. It's only 1/2 inch wide if you're getting just the normal stuff at your local Hobby Lobby, which is where I got this. If you are rubbing elbows with a florist, they can get you 1 inch wide if you have a little time to get them to order it for you, or you can find it on Amazon under Flora-Tape and just search 1 inch wide. I think it's a 90-yard roll, I want to say, but it is a pill. It is a pill. It takes a long time. You're going to have carpal tunnel by the end of it, but it is worth it. So you just kind of start it off by pulling it tight and it will immediately adhere to your tube. And then you'll just continue spinning down, making sure you cover your edge. You can't see that. Making sure you cover your edge because that's going to keep it from peeling off. Or if a kid touches it, or it gets knocked over, or it gets scraped. So you just keep rolling on to your own, where it's been going. You're gonna rip it a million times. It's okay. Just take it to your end and re-stick and pull and go over where you've already rolled a little bit. And you'll just spend ages rolling these, but it's okay. It makes it look beautiful. Hold on, I'll come back once I'm done. Okay, now that I have sufficiently gave myself carpal tunnel. When you are finishing these off, I don't typically go to the very bottom because you're not going to be able to see the end of the stem and the base of the Five Below stool. So I don't really go to the end unless I'm expecting that you're going to be able to see it. But when you do finish it off, of course I tore it, pull it tight and wrap it several layers over itself, pushing down with your thumb hard just to make sure it really, really sticks. Okay, here is our newest stem. So you can kind of see how the tape goes over itself and kind of makes that natural viney, stem look. I actually really like the look. I think it's very natural looking, which is kind of fun. But so you can kind of see. Okay, well, let's hang this up and then I will show you how our flowers connect, the ones that I've made. So let me set this in our base. This is eventually going to be our line flower, but the purpose of this video, I can show you. Just snap right in. You cannot see what I'm showing you. There we go. So the flowers I have made, I've made several different types. I have Cosmos. Oh gosh, I gotta flip you over. Have Cosmos, which are the blue ones. These big, huge poppies, which were really fun. Some echinacea, some sunflowers. There's some daisies over there. And then of course the dandelions. The way that I built these, it's really, really helpful, is building them to have a shish kebab stick, can't say that word, in the base. So I just hot glued this in. The inside of this is cardboard, but I glued these in really strong. So when you're setting up and taking down and moving pieces, transporting pieces to your church, makes it a lot easier. We've already done that. So the way that they snap in, let me see, that's my motion detector, sorry. The way they snap in is they just go right into the little shish kebab sticks, just go right into the stem, and you just push down. And if you green the base of your flour well enough, you almost can't tell. And so there's definitely something to be said to kind of doctor them once they're on site, but I think that looks pretty dang good already. I don't know. And you can also hot glue the tops so they don't kind of wobble a little bit, but some others have been a lot stronger. So like the tulips, for example, a lot stronger base. They've been greened up underneath to look really good. So the only thing I haven't showed you yet is bending with the heat gun. So I'm going to show you that next. Okay, so what I would always advocate for when you are getting ready to bend your PVC pipes is have your flowers prepared before, so you kind of know where you want them to bend, where that natural look is. So I've already made these, obviously. One of these is going to be one of our little lavender line flowers that I showed before. So the lowest one I usually do as a bud. So we're going to pop our shish kebab skewers in there. I sometimes go the tallest one being a bloom or the tallest one being a line flower. Choose that before you start the process. So sometimes I just kind of put them in and see how I like them. I think this particular one with the white flowers, I'm going to have the big line flower be the tallest one because it kind of breaks up the monotony of the white. These are daisies, but so I'm going to leave that line flower straight. I'm not going to bend him. Some of them I give a tiny bit of a bend just to kind of break up how straight some pieces are for like normal flowers that do grow straight, like tulips and echinaceas. I left it a little bit bented, so a little bit bent. Let's use grammar here. So let me grab my heat gun. Okay, it's gonna be a miracle if you can see this because of how completely eaten my house is by flowers. But so I just have a normal run-of-the-mill heat gun. A paint drying gun would work. I think that's some of the verbiage that local retailers might use. This is just a heat gun. They get extremely hot. Be careful with them. You might want gloves for this. I've burned myself a million times. I don't really care anymore. Start on low. It will take a little while for your gun to get warm enough that it's actually warming the PVC, but you'll kind of start getting a feel for it as you do this a couple times. So my gun is probably pretty cool still. Let's see. I'm going to do this in real time so you can see how long it does take, so you're not over melting your PVC and ruining it. I started to do that on one of them, but I just had to be a little bit more careful and visual on what I was doing. They also, oddly enough, kind of start swaying once they start getting a little bit soft. I don't know what the chemistry behind that is, but I have been watching for that stuff. I don't know if you can see how it's kind of bobbing around a little bit. It's going this way. Maybe you can. I don't know if it shows up on camera. But that's, yeah, that's good. Oop. I always set my heat gun on my metal base while I'm not using it so I don't melt my carpet, even though it wouldn't be a crying shame to lose this orange carpet in my house. So you do have a little bit of time because it does stay a little bit soft. You'll want to use quite a bit of force unless you've really melted it, because then it's not going to bend very easily. Okay, so do small bends. I can't stress that enough. Nature flowers do not go in an immediate kink. You want to do small little bits of bends because your piping will well a little bit where you've bent it. That doesn't really matter. You can wrap that with wax tape. Just don't do it too much or you'll have a harder time wrapping it and it won't look as natural. So we've put one in. We're going to give it one more on the buds. The flowers, I just give them a nice little a nice little dog leg, if you will. But the little buds, because they're supposed to be coming up and kind of springing forth, you want to give them a little bit more. The florist that trained me, she always would joke, because it's all about angles in floristry. You do not want anything facing down, pointing its face down. You want that energy moving in a diagonal or kind of upper to make them look more natural, because you don't want them facing down. That means those flowers are dying or they're starting to expire and they're not natural looking. So you want to make sure that they are just kind of facing a little bit, bending a little bit. Okay. And like I said, feel free to speed this up. I'm just showing you in real time. I am about one of the most awkward people you could ever meet in your life, so this should be a fun video. Okay. We're soft. So I'm barely having to use any force with all my ramblings. Apparently I warmed it a lot, but not too bad. So very natural bend, very natural, just kind of moving away from the plant, but all coming from the same source. So I'll do one of our big flowers, and then that will probably be the end of this video. So let me tilt this. I definitely would say I guess it doesn't really matter, because you can always twist these however you want them. I'm kind of tilting mine out to go at each corner out, if that makes any sense. All right, so I kind of sometimes choose different levels to start my bends on to kind of spice up the way that they look, so they're not all bending at the same level. Get unraveled here. So I'm going to choose about here, and the next one I might choose lower down, or I might choose higher up. It being so tall, I might choose higher up on the other one. I won't show that since it's not a 70-minute video. And like I said, this heat gun is only on low. You do not need it on high. It will get you there. It might take a little bit the first couple of times you use it, just because it's got to warm that element in there up to actually get hot enough to melt. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, they kind of wobble a little bit once they start getting warm. Maybe you can see it, but I can't tell. Okay, I bet that's gonna be one. Ah. Yeah. Oh. Too long. Okay. Because look at how easily that's bending. So I'm saying, very, very minimal. There we go. So I would give it about, turn it to the side so you can see what I'm doing. About that. It will spring back a little bit. Okay, and then they harden up pretty doggone quick, so you don't have to hold it too long, but I would give it about that much of a bend. And when you're standing with all four, even if you had all four flowers in the base, it's enough of a bend to get them unsmushed together. As you can see, this is the one that is bent. This one's obviously, we bent that one. And then this one is still just pinned straight. And they look okay with one straight. I typically bend all of mine. So, all right, well, that is probably the end of this video, unless there's something else that you guys are curious in or kind of looking for an answer for that you can't really find anywhere else. Let me know. Have a wonderful Vacation Bible School. We'll be praying for the rest of you guys. It is such an honor and such a blessing to be able to teach so many kids. Thank you so much, you guys. Bye-bye.